This is one of the most powerful devices I own, an iPad. A device whose primary job is letting me comfortably watch YouTube in bed. And this is the last iPad I bought, a 3rd gen 12.9-inch Pro from 2018. A whole 7 years later, and it's miraculously still kicking. Kinda. It's showing its age, as recent OS updates feel like they're actively trying to kill this thing. So it was time. But here's the thing. This new M5 iPad Pro is so absurdly overpowered that it's flexing on everything I own in what feels like a targeted effort to give my MacBook an identity crisis. For years, the whole using iPads as laptop replacements conversation has been gaining traction exponentially, understandably so. But here's a question. What happened to just letting tablets be tablets? Well, it's complicated. I went with the smaller 11-inch model this time around. I loved the 12.9-inch screen, and I'm sure I would have loved the more up-to-date 13-inch one, but I wanted a change of pace. And it's not like the larger iPad is unmanageable. It's not, at all. I just wanted something even more manageable, and this strikes a good balance between usability and portability for me. I mean, my favorite iPhone ever is the 13 mini, so going with this makes sense. Which reminds me, when I pulled the iPad out of the box after using a dinner plate for the past few years, this model made me think of my Nexus 7 and how much I loved that thing. Man, good times. Anyway, I also opted to skip the Magic keyboard this time, for now anyway, something I was quick to grab for my old iPad, and I even got that smart keyboard folio before the Magic one with the trackpad launched. I was all in on the iPad being a laptop replacement. This time, I'm choosing to not force it to be one. I'll get the keyboard if I feel I could really use it at some point. Had I gotten one, the combination would have cost me just over $1,400. We'll talk more about this a little later. Now that you know what you know, you would know that upgrading to this screen was nothing short of a paradigm shift. No disrespect to that good old IPS LCD panel, it actually still looks great. But man, this display is outstanding. I love it. It is pure eye candy, easily one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to upgrade, and I almost caved last year when Apple first announced Tandem OLED. If you don't know what that is, they basically stacked 2 OLED screens for improved brightness, color accuracy, contrast, motion processing, all while being more power efficient with a longer lifespan. It's phenomenal. Perfect for watching YouTube videos because, of course, that's all I got this thing for.
You know what's wild? We spent centuries perfecting paper. Then we invented iPads. But paper ended up being so good that now we're making iPads feel like paper. Humanity is fascinating.
Enter the Paperlike 3 screen protector. This thing feels like actual premium paper, not kinda sorta like paper if you believe hard enough, nah, like real, consistent tactile resistance. The kind of friction your hand naturally expects. Without it, let's be honest, sketching, marking up docs, or frantically taking notes in class feels like trying to write a love letter on a windshield. Paperlike 3 uses nanodots technology. It's a microtexture surface they've been perfecting for years to nail that exact paper feel. It works for creatives, students, note takers, business professionals, anyone wielding an Apple Pencil who's tired of ice skating across their screen. And of course, it'll protect the display from scuffs and scratches.
Now here's the other genius part. They invented this butterfly application system because, let's face it, it is a little too easy to be a complete disaster at applying screen protectors. Dust bubble here, crooked edge there, mild emotional breakdown, all that fun stuff.
The butterfly thing? It's got a helper tool that aligns everything perfectly, keeps dust out like you're working in a NASA clean room, and if you do manage to mess up, you get 2 screen protectors per pack. It's honestly one of the best iPad accessories you can get, and if it doesn't work out for you, they give you a 100-day money-back guarantee.
That's enough time to use it, hate it, miss it, want it back, have a full character arc about it, and still return it. They're practically daring you not to love it.
Check it out using the first link below, and a huge thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Alright, let's talk about using this thing. Needless to say, it's fantastic. I don't want to get into specs too much, but simply put, there's more RAM, faster storage read-write speeds, better Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular support, faster charging speeds, 120Hz external display support, and faster local AI processing if you're into that. All good stuff, though it is interesting to see that it's still using Thunderbolt 3 despite having faster internal storage. I wonder what's up with that. Either way, it's an absolute monster. But you already knew that. Again, this is genuinely good stuff here, and not just for now, but it's good future-proofing too. Take that for what you will. Now this base 12 gigabytes of RAM is up from the base 8 gigs in last year's M4. This is triple what my old iPad had. And I mean, the difference is night and day. I bet you'd even be able to tell a bit of a difference coming from an M4 with multitasking being as fluid as it is, and there's a lot less app refreshing. They just pick right back up. It's great. And then last year, they finally moved the front-facing camera to the middle of the landscape edge. This always made way more sense. No more blocking Face ID, and video calls are now centered. Battery life has been good, not amazing. I can get through a full day on a single charge, and so far I can pull anywhere between 8 to 9 hours of screen on time per charge, and even more with light casual use. Oh, and the faster charging has been a very welcome change. I can get from 0 to 50% in around half an hour as advertised, which has been quite nice, so thumbs up for that. In addition to all of this thing is just so astonishingly thin and lightweight. The weight distribution is on point, and especially with this one being the 11-inch model, just using it has been a breeze. Oh, and they also removed the iPad branding from the back. Hooray, I can tell that this is an M5 now, woohoo. The quad speakers sound good, but I made the mistake of comparing them to my 3rd Gen Pro's speakers, thinking the new ones would be better. I mean, surely, this iPad is 7 years newer, so yeah, well, the older ones sound fuller and warmer, and better at higher volumes. I guess it makes sense. The older iPad is beefier and there's more space, so that definitely helps. These speakers here still sound great though, don't get it twisted. It's been fun working around the house while having a basketball game on and blasting the absolute heck out of that round ball rock theme song from NBA on NBC. If you know, you know. iPad OS could definitely use some polishing. I've been experiencing some light glitches and some micro stutters here and there, and I know I'm not the only one, so I'm gonna need Apple to hop on this as soon as possible. Other than that though, like I said, this thing is fast and powerful. It obviously has a good reputation for being a rock-solid gaming machine for both hardcore and casual gamers. The power is there, so it'll be interesting to see what other AAA titles make their way to this platform. And then of course, it crushes every task and new multitasking feature, which I do like, by the way. I'm looking forward to really nailing down a set workflow with shortcuts along with the windowed and stage manager modes. So far, personally, I think using them in tandem is the way to go. And yeah, it is a little funny that I went with the 11-inch model and ditched the Magic Keyboard to start out at the time that Apple added more desktop-like functionality. But I'll be honest, I'm liking how things are right now. I did try plugging this into my monitor and it worked as advertised, 120 Hz and all. I'm definitely going to continue testing this moving forward, but so far it's seamless and it does what it's supposed to do. Alright, I think it's time to address the elephant in the room. You know where this is going. You knew where this was going the moment you clicked on this video. The general consensus is that the hardware is there, but the software isn't. The second that Apple added these in-house M-series chips to the iPad, they were overpowered. And off rip, Apple touted these as having desktop class power. Kind of a problem without software to take advantage of it. Perhaps a great problem to have, but it's one that Apple has been slow to mitigate. And to add insult to injury, these things are not cheap. And as newer devices were released, the older ones became some of the best values on the market. Take the M3 MacBook Air for example. $999 for the 512 24 gig model and B&H photo just a week ago as of the posting of this video. Sure, that laptop is 2 years old, and at that point getting a previous gen iPad makes a lot of sense too. Heck, my main editing workstation is a 14-inch MacBook Pro with M1 Pro, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 1TB SSD. I bought it in 2023, 2 years after its initial launch, and to this day, it is still straight butter. And I bought it for the same price it would have cost me to get this base 256 gig 11-inch M5 iPad Pro and the Magic Keyboard. Yeah, it's pretty problematic when MacBooks are cheaper than iPads in certain configurations. So when you look at it from a value standpoint, there's almost no reason to get one of these over a MacBook these days, right? Well, flipping the script over for a second, when you look at it through the lens of intention, That's when you'll remind yourself, oh yeah, these are two completely different devices after all. This is its own product. It functions differently for casual users, couch potatoes, artists, designers, illustrators, and musicians. Musicians being a demographic that often gets forgotten about, by the way. The thing is, it is not required to be a creative professional to justify getting an iPad Pro. You might be asking, what's the point of the Pro name and all of that power if most people are just gonna scroll social media and watch videos and not take full advantage of it? Well, all you have to do is look at Apple's best-selling iPhone. The Pro Max dominates sales charts year after year, and this year's model is no exception. I might be completely off my rocker with this one, but I can guarantee you that the vast majority of people buying those Pro iPhones are not shooting photos in Pro RAW, they're not shooting video in Log or ProRes RAW, they are not creative professionals or hardcore gamers. Basically, most people are certainly not taking full advantage of what makes the phone quote-unquote Pro. And you know what? That's perfectly okay. The base iPhone 17 is clearly the better value in the same way the base iPad or iPad Air would be the better value for most people based on what most people do. But people are gonna buy what they want. Simple as that. Look, I get it. It's frustrating. Apple has a lot of work to do with its software in more ways than one. But you gotta admit, it's headed in the right direction at least a little bit. And it's worth noting that third-party developers also need to take advantage of this hardware. The iPad Pro is a feat of engineering. They crammed a lot of high-end technology into an impressively tiny frame. It seems like what a lot of people want is Apple's version of the Microsoft Surface. As it currently stands, depending on who you are and what your workflow is, this can absolutely 100% replace a laptop. People have been doing that for a while at this point. It's gotten easier to do so over time, and that's great. If you decide to go on the adventure of replacing your laptop with an iPad, my advice would be to adjust and manage your expectations. Use the device for what it is. Start fresh and try to configure a brand new workflow that best utilizes its strengths and advantages. The iPad is a computer, but it is not a MacBook. As for me, I have this creative itch that needs to be scratched, meaning I'm not very creative right now. These videos are the only thing I make at the moment. That and banana bread, but I'm not an artist, so while I would love to learn, the pessimist in me is convinced that this will be as good a drawing as I'll ever be able to pull off. But I did grow up playing piano. Music is something I'm very passionate about, so I want to tap into that more. I want to learn, and I want to create. And this can help me do just that. I like the idea of this being a super turbocharged tablet that can be a stand-in for my laptop if and when necessary, and a creative tool all at the same time. I really enjoy the M5 iPad Pro, and so far I'm already using it more frequently throughout the week than I did my last one. And that's because, as goofy as this sounds, I'm letting the iPad be an iPad. The current state of this lineup isn't exactly the easiest to figure out, and it might be getting more confusing as rumors have the iPad mini and iPad Air getting substantial updates, including OLED displays. So we'll see what happens there. Either way, it's a pretty great time to buy an iPad, especially if you're on an older one like I've been. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear from you. Drop a potato if you're part of the potato gang. You are awesome, and thank you so much for watching.